Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dakota's Political Circle. And today I want to talk about how Nate Silver, their model update just came out, and it's showing that Trump is in the lead by the Electoral College, which is very, very surprising because Nate Silver is a very, very, very political bulletin that posts this stuff. Usually they're very, very political, and I mean they're very, very democratic when they pick their numbers, and even when they did, I think Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, they were very, very partisan towards the Democrats. So if you see a favorability with Trump with Nate Silver, that is a big advantage for Trump, a massive advantage. Now, obviously, the popular vote probability is different, but with the Electoral College in the favor of Trump for that is very, very interesting because for Trump to be above in a Nate Silver model is just a very, very great thing to see because usually he usually posts these and they're always partisan to Democrats. Almost always they're always favoring either Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Harris. It's just always. And if you look at the average they have on the actual site, it shows that Harris is leading. But in their most recent model, it is showing that they think Trump's actually going to be winning. Now, obviously, their actual average in general is still showing a Harris lead, but their most recent update on who is favored to win the presidency is literally Donald Trump, which is great. This shows that Trump can possibly easily win the election because of this. Because of how dumb Nate Silver's models are, it really shows that if Trump is in the lead whatsoever, Trump can easily win this election. And to show some other stuff as well, some other polls that just came out as well that are really interesting, even though Trump's not in the lead in them, I'll show you them and I'll tell you why this is a good thing. So to show you right here, this is Quinnipiac. Obviously, you know Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac is probably the crappiest pollster around when it comes to polling Republicans. Quinnipiac always polls Dems. It is like one of the most Dem pollster, besides probably Bloomberg. I think Bloomberg's very, very very, very, very liberal as well, but Quinnipiac is very much up there. They're a horrible pollster, and for some odd reason, they give them a B, which is probably the dumbest thing ever, because Quinnipiac is probably the crappiest pollster you can have when it comes to general election polling, especially because they are so partisan. They're basically like the Rasmussen. They're basically what the left calls Rasmussen, but in my opinion, I think Quinnipiac is just way worse with their margins. And even if you look right here, this person posted this right here. They were showing how it's basically a Trump plus 6 because if you look at this right here, if you see Quinnipiac all the way down here, they favor Democrats 100% of the time. And then you look at Trafalgar. Actually, the most average one here that's probably not as bad is probably Survey USA. And then you got some of the Republican pollsters like Trafalgar's not too horrible, but 86% is pretty bad. But then there's Insider Advantage. Insider Advantage is probably the best one out of these. It favors Republicans, but it also doesn't favor Democrats too much. But like Emerson College is a decent one, but they're not great either. But the Quinnipiac is awful, literally awful when it comes to the errors. 100% error favored to the Democrats. So it just shows that Quinnipiac is just a horrible pollster. And them showing a Harris plus 1 is a massive advantage for Trump. It is a massive advantage. You would see Quinnipiac do so much more in general, even with Joe Biden. Like, if I look right here, I'm not sure if they did any other polls. I just want to see Quinnipiac. So they had a Trump plus 2, but remember, this was before the dropout. So this doesn't matter. This Trump plus 2 doesn't matter. So this is the first poll they basically polled since Harris became the nominee, or when Harris became the right after Joe Biden dropped out. So Quinnipiac basically just put out a plus 1, which is crazy because obviously Quinnipiac is a very liberal pollster. So them showing a Harris plus 1 is very awful numbers for Harris in general. And obviously there's some other polls I want to show you as well. So there's Emerson. Emerson's a really interesting one. I would say they're kind of accurate, but also liberal leaning. So they're showing a tie in Pennsylvania, which obviously the before poll was a Trump +1. But remember, this was after the convention, the DNC convention. But obviously there was also Kennedy as well. But remember, the DNC convention just happened. You would think you'd see like a +3, maybe a +2, +4. But no, you see a tie. You get a 1 point bump from the DNC, which is very, very bad for Harris. A very, very bad thing for Harris. But it does help out Trump tremendously because Trump can easily recover from this. And even though it's Emerson is I would say they're a decent pollster, but they are left leaning. So I would say accurately, maybe this poll is a Trump +1, maybe a Trump +2. But just to say, Emerson is not liberal, but I would say they're left leaning. But I would say this poll is not accurate, but I would say that this is a very bad poll for Harris. This is an awful poll, especially after the DNC convention. And then another poll I wanted to show. So these are the swing state polls. This is a right wing pollster, by the way. I just want to say that I think it's a little bit inaccurate, but I also because remember it is a C pollster, but I do think some of these could be accurate in some instances, like Arizona. That could be possible. Trump +1, Trump +2 is probably possibly accurate for Arizona. Georgia, I think, is probably a Trump +1 or Trump +2. North Carolina, you got a tie here. I think that's very inaccurate. I think North Carolina is probably going to be a Trump +2 or Trump +3. And then you got Pennsylvania, Harris +1. I would say that's inaccurate, but obviously the DNC convention did just happen, so it could just be a bump from the DNC. So I think that I wouldn't say it's accurate, but it could just be a bump from the DNC. Then the Wisconsin +3, I'd say the poll is accurate, but I wouldn't say the result is accurate. Because Wisconsin, if I show you right here, if I go to Wisconsin right here, so here's Wisconsin. Obviously, it's a Harris 1.9 lead right now. But if I show you right here, so if you go to Joe Biden, so I just want to show you that I've talked about this in my video before. Biden won Wisconsin, but he was leading by 6.7 in averages, and Biden won by 0.7. So you got Harris 1.9, and also if I show Clinton, just to show you Clinton as well, Clinton was up by 6.5. Trump won by 0.7. So usually Wisconsin severely underpolls Republicans in polling. So if you got a Harris 1.9, then and even the most recent Emerson is a Trump +1. So if you have a Harris 1.9, Trump can overperform in Wisconsin by about 5, maybe 6 points, maybe even 4. But Trump can easily win Wisconsin in this scenario because he severely overperforms in Wisconsin. And then you got a Harris +3 in this Wisconsin poll. And I mean, I could say that's accurate based on polling, but I would say that in the end, Trump would overperform that margin because he always overperforms in Wisconsin, which I don't know why polling is so bad in Wisconsin, but for some reason he always overperforms in Wisconsin. It's just a thing that always happens. And I know a lot of people see these polls and they see like, right here, like Quinnipiac. People don't think about Quinnipiac and they're like, oh no, Harris is leading by 1. This could be really bad for Trump. But that's also an electoral college victory. And then you see the Pennsylvania Tide and it's Emerson. People probably think, oh, Trump could lose Pennsylvania. No, you really have to look at the margins and just understand that a lot of states are very different when it comes to polling. And to show right here, like if you go to, if I specifically go to Pennsylvania, you'll see how interesting Pennsylvania is. So it's a Harris 0.8 as of right now, mainly because of the Bloomberg. I absolutely despise Bloomberg polling because Bloomberg is a very liberal pollster. And honestly, possibly maybe even more liberal than Quinnipiac when they put out polls. Like look at Quinnipiac, +3. And then also New York Times, Siena, they're pretty liberal as well. So I would say those 3 pollsters are the ones you really got to look out for and put the averages down a bit. But a Harris 0.8 because of Bloomberg. It should be either a tie or a Trump point something. But just because of Bloomberg, it really ruins it here. But just to show you, if I show you Biden, so it had the same exact result as the average. But then when you look at Clinton here, you got Clinton. And Trump overperformed in Pennsylvania by not 2 a little bit over 2 percentage points. So I would say that Pennsylvania is a really interesting state here. You got to remember that in 2020, COVID was a big thing. So if it's in a normal election year like this year, you should probably look at the 16 polling a little bit more. Trump overperforms in Pennsylvania on average if if obviously not COVID isn't there or anything abortion or anything like that's not on the ballot. So I think that Trump will overperform this polling as of right here. And technically, Trump should be in the lead in this polling, but because of Bloomberg, obviously that's the main reason why he's not leading in this poll. But a lot of people gloom and doom and don't understand that a lot of these states are very different in many different ways, and Trump can win in a lot of different ways. Like if you look at Arizona, Trump's in the lead in Arizona, and even the most liberal, even when you look at Emerson right here, Trump's in the lead in Emerson in Arizona. You got Nevada right here. Trump's in the lead. Obviously, most recent polling is showing Harris, but I do think Trump is still in the lead in Nevada. And then you got Wisconsin. I already talked about this. You got Harris leading, but Wisconsin severely underperforms with overperforms with Trump specifically. And then you got Michigan. Now Michigan's a weird one. I think Michigan can go to Trump, but Michigan's a little bit more weird because they do underpoll Trump, but at the same time, like if I show you right here, they underpoll Trump by a sizable margin, and technically Trump can win Michigan. But at the same time, Michigan is a very liberal-leaning state, and it's not something you can really predict, but they do underperform Republicans. So if Trump keeps an average of maybe 2 for Harris, maybe a 1.5 for Harris, Trump can win Michigan. And then I already showed Pennsylvania. Then there's North Carolina. For some weird reason, people think Harris can win North Carolina. So Trump's leading in the average. And obviously, even Emerson is showing a Trump +1. But I do think it's way higher than that. It's just North Carolina is just showing that because, a lot of these liberal-leaning pollsters are really putting in, like Harris. Like, here's Bloomberg. You got Survey USA. You got Siena. So you got a little bit of liberal in there. Then you got Georgia here. It's a theoretical tie, but look, the Emerson put a Harris +1. Fox News is actually kind of reliable, so I actually wouldn't hate on that one. Bloomberg is a +2, and then you got, for some odd reason, you got Siena saying a Trump +4. Some of these are very weird with polling, so you just can't really look at certain polls and just say that Trump's going to lose them, because he always overperforms polling in a lot of states. So there is just no scenario I really don't see him losing this election. Now, obviously, in the average, as of right now, Trump's not winning, but only because of Pennsylvania and their Bloomberg poll. But I did want to bring all that stuff up with you guys. I wanted to bring up the Nate Silver model. I wanted to bring up the polling just to talk to you guys about. Obviously, there hasn't been really much of a Kennedy shift yet. Maybe one more week there might be a Kennedy shift. It's mainly because of the DNC bump. I think the DNC bump is really pushing those Kennedy numbers down a little bit when it comes to Trump. So I would say maybe wait one more week just to see how that works out. And if it doesn't work out, then I think that's the Kennedy bump. It's just right there. Or maybe wait 2 weeks. I'd probably say 1 week. Just wait one more week so the DNC bump is gone, and then you'll get to see more decent polling. But yeah, I just really want to talk about this Nate Silver model and how Trump's in the lead in it, and also just talk about some polling that just came out. But anyway, guys, that's the end of this video. I'm not sure when my next video will be out. I would assume possibly maybe Tuesday or Wednesday or so. It really depends on what comes out. Hopefully more Kennedy models do come out, like when it comes to like Trump getting a boost by Kennedy. I know the DNC just happened, and the Kennedy endorsement happened right after. So obviously it really needs to average out a little bit. But I did want to talk to you guys about this and just show you that Trump can win these states. Trump can do really well. It just goes down to the margin of error and how certain states poll Trump in general. Trump's probably going to win Wisconsin, and Trump's probably going to win Pennsylvania. But then there's certain states you got to really look out for that Trump could lose and could win. But anyway, I don't want to make this video too long. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.